to the place in the middle of the sun. And we'll sing this song, sing it one by one.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to today's show. Got another great one for you where we welcome Dr. Linda Spann. And Dr. Spann specializes in coaching and therapy for lesbian and LGBTQ relationships and puts an emphasis on erasing the stigma of addressing mental health concerns so you can have healthy relationships. And today we talk about ways to reconnect and pivot on a dime, as Dr. Spann says. And you're going to love today's episode because it's super actionable, quick tips of things that you can do today to reconnect with your partner. And some of them are simple, some are things you've heard of, but we can always use reminders. But there's some new ones that I really love and some different perspectives that Dr. Spann brings in for us to think about and implement today. So I always love those super actionable tips that we can just get off the podcast and implement right away. So really appreciate Dr. Spann coming on the show. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Enjoy today's episode. Hi, Dr. Spann. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Oh, it's so great to be here, Chase. Thanks for having me.
Today, we're going to talk about a few different things, but in the pre-show, you and I were talking and you said you wanted to share some tips on how couples can reconnect. And particularly, you said something that they could do tonight. And I always love super actionable things that we can bring into our relationship. So let's start by talking about some ways that we can reconnect and warm things up tonight if we want to.
Yeah, one of my favorite things to do, Chase, is to help couples figure out how to pivot into connection on a dime. Little things that they can do in the moment that can bring back a sense of connection and warmth in the relationship. So let me just start with one that I have in mind, and that is if you will make a commitment today to hug your partner 7 to 10 times. I know that sounds like a whole lot of times, but there's such magic in human hugs. The hugs have been found we release the love hormone of oxytocin. They've been found to help us regulate and calm each other down. They have a way of melting away the insecurities and fears that build up. And so my challenge is for those listening to go ahead and give your partner 7 hugs between now and bedtime.
That is great. And it's simple, but it can create a feeling of warmth. And so often we just get stuck in our routines. We got work, maybe there's kids, and we don't take the time to pause and do that because you're busy making dinner, getting ready to go to work, getting the kids ready for school. So it's simple, but it can be super effective.
Yes, I agree. Now, I have another idea. This one may sound counterintuitive, but my challenge is that you don't say I love you to your partner today. Do not say I love you. Instead, what I want you to do is to think a little bit outside the box, get creative. That phrase, I love you, can become so routinized, so mundane sounding almost. So like pass me the salt. And so I do not want you to say I love you. Instead, I want you to look for some new ways to let your partner know that they're special to you, that you really dig what they're doing, that you appreciate them. So instead of saying I love you, you can just tell your partner how hot they look and what they're wearing, or cook their favorite meal and light a couple of candles. Play your favorite song right before bed. Do some things like that. Find a way to communicate the spirit of you mean so much to me without using that phrase.
That is a great one. And maybe the show's title will be Why You Should Not Say I Love You. That'll grab people's attention. But no, it's such a good thing. Sometimes in the arts, I've heard that they say, restrictions and boundaries can actually spur creativity, because if you don't have endless options for expressing your love, because the most simple default thing in a relationship will be to say, hey, I love you. And like you said, it loses its meaning. So by taking that out, that in a sense is a big restriction. And now we have to say, I love you through our actions, or through cooking a meal, or through writing a nice note that doesn't say I love you, but something else, right? So I think taking that perspective, not just today when you try not to say I love you, but all the time, can be so valuable.
Yeah, and I love your idea of writing a note. I think writing a love letter or a love note is a really special way to not say I love you.
What are some other things that we can do to pivot on a dime, like you expressed, and create that connection?
Yeah, so a great pivot on a dime is to turn up the tunes and to break into some dance with your partner. Um, a lot of times we go through life without having much fun on a routine basis. But if you can take even 10 minutes to cue up a couple of your favorite songs, move the furniture out of the way, and just dance for a little while, your kids will love seeing it. You will reconnect both in your heart and in your body. And it's just a nice way to kind of turn up the sparks a little bit in your relationship. And I do think that if you can play what you refer to as our song, that's an extra special way to have some fun on the dance floor.
I love that. And I have to admit, I've been a podcast listening junkie for years. And then I realized that music has kind of gone out of my life, because all of my audio consumption was audiobooks and podcasts, which was great. I was learning a lot, entertained. And I realized that music was gone. And when I was in college, I listened to it a lot. And in the last year or so, I've gone back into listening to music. And it's simple, but it's so powerful in eliciting a certain mood or feeling, whether you're by yourself or with your partner. And like you said, playing our song or something fun while you're cooking dinner, instead of maybe you listen to the New York Times, a daily, when you cook dinner or breakfast every morning. That's nice, but switching it up and having music in your life and dance is a great thing to do.
Yeah, and it takes you out of the more serious part of your brain and into that kind of that nonverbal part of your brain that's very emotional, and you can connect without having to use language, and it's fun. And it always helps to move our bodies too, right? That puts us in a better mental place when we're moving our bodies.
I love it. So crank up the tunes tonight.
Yes.
While you're giving your partner a hug. We can kill two birds with one stone there.
Yeah. On a more serious note, I would suggest that one thing that could be so meaningful to your relationship is if you'll finally address your partner's biggest complaint about you. So I've done lots of sort of organic research on this in the therapy room. And it turns out that most of us know what our partner's biggest complaint about us is, yet we often don't address it. So today you can make such a difference by thinking, what is their biggest complaint about me? And then doing something about it. So, if their biggest complaint is that you shut down a conversation, then I encourage you to stay present. If your partner's biggest complaint is that you never or you rarely help out with the chores around the house, then surprise them and do some laundry or clean up the dishes tonight. Whatever it is, do something about it. That is going to score so many points, and chances are that your partner will move toward you.
Is that something that you should just do and not maybe ask your partner, or can it be either or?
I would say do it and surprise them, because a lot of times what you might hear is if you like telegraph it by saying, oh, did you notice I did this, or I'm going to do it, then it takes some of the joy out, because your partner's, they're very frustrated. They're going to feel like you're trying to I don't know, to score some points for something that in their mind you should be doing anyway. So I say, don't talk about it, just do it.
I love it. All right. So we're going to blast some music, give our partner a hug, and take out the garbage without them asking. We're checking off some good things. What are some other things we can do to reconnect?
I think it goes a long way to move into some positivity, such as complimenting your partner. We end up taking each other so much for granted, but after all, most of us are motivated by reward systems. So take the time to let your partner know something that you appreciate about them, compliment them on how they look. Now, don't BS this. I mean, you have to be genuine in your compliments, but find something that you can genuinely compliment your partner for. Catch them doing something right, and let them know that you appreciate that. Tell them they look great in that outfit, or whatever it is. Find a way for a genuine, heartfelt compliment.
That's so valuable, because I think a lot of times, obviously, if someone's tuning into this, they're looking to improve their relationship. And a lot of times on the show, I'll talk about conflict resolution and things around that. And that's super important, because we're going to have conflict, but those are more dealing with the negativity. And so I love that, being able to shift and saying, okay, I know how to deal with conflict, or I'm trying to deal with it better. I'm listening to this show, getting tools, reading books, but what are some things I can do kind of proactively when we're not in conflict? And those are really the things we're talking about, but giving that compliment, it's unsolicited. We don't have to do these things. We don't have to hug our partner, play the music, give the compliment, but they're, to me, more on the positive side of things than is usually talked about on the show, because conflict is so hard and it's hard to navigate, and we do need lots of tools. But it's pretty simple to say, play music, hug your partner, and tell them something nice, but we don't do it. So these are important reminders.
Yeah, and there's no excuse not to do a few of these, because it's not brain surgery. I was going to say it's not rocket surgery. You can do these things very easily. So
we got complimenting our partner. What are some other things we could think about?
Yeah. So on a slightly more serious note, as you think about improving maybe communication, I have a couple of tips on that. And one of them is to make a commitment just for today to really speak your truth all day long. Now, I'm not talking about truth telling. So, of course, I don't want you to lie, but it's more than that. It's about, think of the things that maybe you've been avoiding telling your partner about, maybe because you're afraid it could lead to conflict or an argument, or they're not going to understand you. Though that's really what I'm talking about, is lean into the courageous, vulnerable part of yourself and just let it out. Talk about the things that are on your mind. And you can do that from a place of kindness without being accusatory or blaming. But it can make such a difference if you're willing to speak authentically about what's on your mind. It will put you in alignment with yourself, and it will keep your relationship from going stale and stagnant because you're just not talking. So that's the speaker side of communication. The other thing that you can do is to really, I don't know what to call it. I would say make the term "be curious" your mantra for the day. And that means that as you're the listener, when your partner's talking to you, really lean into curiosity and inquisitiveness. That will make you just a top-notch listener, and it positions you to really get to that place of empathy, which, after all, is what we're all looking for when we open up in communication, is to land in the pool of empathy. So make Be Curious your mantra, as well as I'm going to speak my truth today, all day. And then if it goes well, do it tomorrow and the day after.
Absolutely. And yeah, you mentioned it a little bit, but when you're speaking your truth, doing it kindly and obviously, and using I statements is probably going to be really valuable. So you're not like, oh, I listened to Dr. Spann on the podcast and she's like, speak your truth. And then you're just going to go with your partner and say, you do this, you do that. And obviously we don't want that happening, but really asking ourselves, what is it that we're avoiding? It can be such a valuable thing because I think that can build up resentment. We haven't shared with our partner authentically. It's just something that's been sitting there, and getting that off your chest and opening up to your partner is going to release some things in the relationship. And maybe if it's building up resentment, that's going to be the path to healing it.
Before we continue on, we're going to take a short break to tell you about our sponsors. Today's episode is brought to you by Like a Kitten. Has your sex life fallen into the same old dull routine? After being in a long-term relationship, that's totally normal. But I have great news for you. You can break those habits with a fun, sexy box from Like a Kitten. Like a Kitten will ship you a gift box with all your favorite erotic essentials, from vibrators and massage oils to robes and handcuffs. It's your one-stop shop for a perfect evening. This month, they're helping you choose your own adventure with their BYOB box, aka Build Your Own Box. You get to choose one item out of each of their 6 categories, from toys, beauty products, lubes and cleansers, games, sexy accessories, and lingerie. Within each category, you have 8 or more products you can choose from, so you can build an experience that's customized to your specific desires. For example, a few items that I picked were the Naughty or Nice game, a satin robe, an aromatherapy candle, and some amazing massage oil. I've gotten a few of the Like a Kitten boxes, but being able to pick my favorite items has definitely been the most fun. And not only is it so much fun, but it is a great, sexy activity to do with your partner. It can help build the excitement for what's to come. What's amazing is that the box only cost $69, and some of the vibrators alone retail for more than $69. So the entire box of 6 gifts is such a great deal. And what is also so cool is that a portion of all the sales goes to charities that focus on women's empowerment, education, and health. So you feel good about feeling good. Right now, Like a Kitten is offering our listeners 20% off and free shipping when they go to likeakitten.com/IDO or enter the code IDO at checkout. Just go to likeakitten.com/IDO or use the code IDO to get 20% off these incredible boxes. Likeakitten.com/IDO. The link is also in the episode description. Today's episode is also brought to you by TruNiagen. I used to need a lot of coffee to get me through the day, but recently I've made some changes to my diet and supplements, and I'm no longer feeling dependent on my coffee consumption. One of those new additions to support my new sustained energy throughout the day is TruNiagen. TruNiagen fuels the body's energy engines, maintains cellular metabolism, and even supports heart health. With 11 published human clinical studies and backed by Nobel Prize winners, TruNiagen is a supplement that's clinically proven to boost NAD levels, an essential coenzyme required for cellular energy and repair. Since taking TruNiagen, I also have more resiliency. It helps my muscles recover from a workout, which helps me feel more alive and full of energy. So if you're struggling with your energy levels throughout the day and want a little more pep in your day, I definitely recommend trying TruNiagen. Add more vitality to your life today with TruNiagen. Right now, new customers can save 10% on their first purchase by going to TruNiagen.com/IDO. That's TruNiagen.com/IDO to save 10% on your first purchase. TruNiagen.com/IDO. This is a paid advertisement, and these statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Today's episode is also brought to you by Nutrafol. Thousands of women have taken back control of their hair with Nutrafol, with so many users raving that the supplement not only transformed their hair, but restored their confidence too. Nutrafol offers 2 targeted formulas for women that are clinically shown to improve their growth and thickness with less shedding through all stages of life. So no matter what stage of life you're in, Nutrafol has a solution. Nutrafol Women is ideal if you're experiencing thinning hair caused by stress, dieting, overstyling, and environmental toxins, while Women's Balance is formulated with additional hormone support for those with thinning hair through menopause. Nutrifoil is physician formulated to be 100% drug-free. They use medical-grade botanicals in consistently effective dosages, so you get the most reliable results. As Nutrafol's powerful ingredients bring your body back into balance, you might also notice improvements to your overall well-being, including more restful sleep, less stress, and better skin, nails, and libido. In a clinical study, 86% of women reported improved hair growth after just 6 months. More than 1,500 top doctors recommend Nutrafol as an effective, high-quality solution for healthier hair. You can grow thicker, healthier hair and support the show by going to Nutrafol.com and entering the promo code IDO to save $15 off your first month's subscription. And this is their best offer anywhere, and it is only available to U.S. customers for a limited time. Plus, free shipping on every order. Get $15 off at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code IDO.
That's right. That's right. And that opens up loving communication. And you're absolutely right that this has to come from a place of, this is about me, not about you. And that's how you stand to deepen your own self-understanding. So don't criticize and don't blame. Keep it about you when you're speaking your truth.
And I love being curious as a mantra, as you shared, because I feel it's one thing that I'm working on when listening is, rather than thinking about how we're going to respond or why our partner is wrong and I'm right, instead, if we're listening from a place of curiosity, is really a good way to describe it. And then ask, our partner might say something like, hey, I hate it when you don't plan the date night, this and that. And our natural response, at least mine, is defensiveness of, well, I don't do it because of this. But if I can switch and have that mantra of curiosity, then my question might be, oh, I'm sorry. How often would you like to have a date night? Tell me more. Exactly.
I mean, that's the quickest way to avoid conflict and argument. Curiosity, leaning into that keeps us out of our natural defensiveness of wanting to defend or complain about something our partner is doing. So I think it's magical.
Well, we've gone over some great ways to reconnect that we can implement today. Are there any others that you want to share?
Well, you mentioned date night. I think that planning a date night, there can be so much fun in the planning. And of course, all of our relationships are in such dire need of attention on one another. The only way to nurture the growth is if we take a pause and really tune into each other and put the cell phones away and find a way to have fun together and to, take a break from the routine and also from talking about problems, but really just go have some fun together. And it doesn't have to be expensive. So I think that planning a date night and having a weekly date night is an amazing way to keep a relationship nurtured. So I encourage all of my clients to make a commitment to date night.
And being curious with your partner of asking them, maybe that's not something that you have, or maybe it's something that happens occasionally, and you could start by planning, but then also getting to the root of your expectations around a date night. Maybe one partner would like a date night weekly and the other, they want it twice a week or less often. So getting clear on your expectations around that and sharing that with your partner can be super important as well.
I love that. And I have one last tip, and this doesn't require any kind of planning at all, but that is, for goodness sakes, do something novel this evening. Get out of the routine. We know from science that novelty sparks dopamine in our brain, and that's one of the happy hormones, right? So find a way to mix it up this evening. Do something novel that you haven't done before, or at least in a while, and that I promise is going to help you feel better. It's going to bring some excitement into the relationship. It may even spark some of the love between you, and it also will help you feel more secure. So instead of plopping down in front of the TV tonight, consider going on a moonlit walk, or mixing some fun drinks that you haven't had before. It can be anything, but as long as it's something that's new and novel to both of you.
I love it, Dr. Spann. So these are some great things that we can implement today. I'm all about super actionable tips. So thank you so much for sharing. And before we wrap up, in the pre-show, we were talking about how recently you've started to specialize in working with lesbian couples and the LGBTQ community. And so I'd love for you to share with our listeners that may identify with this, maybe some things that are particular, or we talked a little bit about mental health surrounding these particular communities and what you're seeing as a therapist that might be uniquely valuable insight.
Yeah, thank you for that, this opportunity. Yes, about 3 years ago, I opened up the Lesbian Couples Institute in Denver, and we also offer an online coaching program for lesbian couples all over the U.S., really all over the world. My hope is because I am a lesbian myself, and I specialize in this group, that really I just have this deep desire to reach out to my community to have accessible therapy and coaching without feeling like, well, is the therapist going to really understand or not? Because I assure you, I do understand. The statistics are that there are sometimes more mental health issues in the LGBTQ community, in part because of bullying and, just some of the cultural beliefs around, that homosexuality is somehow wrong or sinful or sick. And so a lot of people in the community struggle with some more depression or anxiety than the general population. So if that's you, or somebody that's in this community and they're struggling, give me a call. We're here to help support all couples and all individuals in the LGBTQ community.
That's such a beautiful thing that you're able to offer, obviously, with your unique credentials and perspective, and definitely appreciate that. And I think that's so valuable. And I'm thankful for having you on and being able to share that with our listeners who will now be able to reach out to you. So thank you so much, Dr. Spann. And thank you for all the great actionable tips that you've given us today. Definitely some things that you can take off the headphones after listening to this podcast and go hug your partner, play some music, plan a date night. Lots of great things that we can do today. And they're simple, but there's beauty in the simplicity, and it's important to create action. So thank you so much, Dr. Spann. Before we wrap up, can you tell our listeners where they can find you online, and then we'll say goodbye?
Yeah, thanks, Chase. The best website is lesbiancoupleinstitute.com. There's a place that you can fill out a contact request, or there's the phone number there. You can just pick up the phone and give me a call. I appreciate the time and getting to be on your podcast, and thank you for all you do for relationships and couples.
Well, thank you, Dr. Spann. Our listeners can find the links in the show notes and at idopodcast.com. And thanks for taking the time to come on the show.
You're welcome. I had a good time.
As always, thank you guys so much for tuning into today's episode. As always, all the links to the guest, as well as any of their recommendations, will be in the show notes page. You can find the link to that in the episode description or by going to idopodcast.com. Click on the podcast tab up at the top, and you will have access to all the episodes that we've ever done. There are over 300 of them. And while you're on our website, if you haven't checked out our free 14-day Happy Couple Challenge, we really hope you do. It's a free email challenge that we send to you. It's 14 days of fun, easy, doable challenges to help strengthen and improve your relationship. And if you're looking for something that provides a little more help with working on your relationship, whether it's improving intimacy or communication with your partner, or just bringing the spark back, we would love for you guys to check out our online course, Spark My Relationship. We're offering $100 off to all of our listeners if you go to sparkmyrelationship.com/unlock. We've worked with over 15 psychologists and therapists to create the real life tools and strategies that they are teaching their clients. So we wanted to give them to you. It's a self-paced online course that can be done in as little as a month or up to 3 months. You can really decide how much or how little you want to do with your partner, or maybe just yourself. So we hope you guys check that out. It's sparkmyrelationship.com/unlock. Have a great day.